Hey, hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. If you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, please type replay so I know you were here. Anyway, I'm Lynn Huber, and I want to thank you for being here with me today. Today we're going to talk about don't let the fear of failure limit your life. A lot of us do that. We just let failure get in the way of what we want to do. But I mean, there's not a lot of big things to fear. I mean, most of us are living in a first world country where we don't have wars, famine, plagues, animals that eat us, dictators. Well, maybe some of that is subject to interpretation, but we're not going to go into that right now. But pretty much most of us we live in pretty safe areas, right? I mean, our countries, most of you watching me are probably in the U.S., but maybe somewhere in Europe or the U.K. But anyway, most of us are pretty safe. So even saying that, though, fear is kind of normal for us. We just all kind of are constantly in a state of fear. Our brain is constantly saying we need to protect ourselves. We need to, and maybe that comes from way back our ancestors years ago. But we're always looking for ways to be careful and protect ourselves. And we're always looking for something. Somehow we always find something to be fearful about, right? Well, the most common kind of fear that people experience is the fear of failure. All of us experience that at some time or another, maybe a lot, I mean, we're afraid to fail. Mostly, I think we're afraid to appear inadequate in front of others. We don't want someone to see us being less than or whatever. And it's just a normal part of life. It's normal. We all have that. But unfortunately, if you're not willing to risk failure, then your life is going to be really limited. So that's what I want to talk about, because learning to deal with that fear of failure is a worthy goal. It's going to make all the difference in your world, in your life, right? So, most people avoid situations where they think they might fail. I see so many people every day that just won't take that chance. They just won't risk that failure. And so they're frozen right where they are at that moment. I have people on my team that are like, they won't ask somebody if they would like an Avon brochure because they're afraid they're going to say no. And so what? They say no. That's what I want I want you to get over that. I want you to get over being afraid, to put yourself out there and take the risk, because without that risk, you're not going to receive the reward. You're not going to be successful. And it doesn't even matter, even if you're not with Avon. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're afraid to put yourself out there for, if you're afraid you might risk that you might fail, then let's work on that. Let's get you overcoming that, okay? Because, the better you can be at that means you can just have less competition, because so many people are limiting themselves by being afraid that if you can get over your fear, you're going to have less competition. So here's some ideas to help you I can't talk. Here's some ideas to help you refuse to allow the fear of failure to limit your life, okay? So number one, define your fear. What exactly are you afraid of? What is it that you're afraid of? What are you worried about? Are you worried about that someone's going to laugh at you? Are you worried that you'll feel bad about yourself if you fail? Are you worried that you'll never be successful? Whatever it is, define your fear. Get really clear on it. What is it that you're afraid is going to happen if you step out there? Redefine failure. That's really important. What is failure to you? Is it an inescapable and permanent result? Is it a sign to you that you're incapable or inadequate? I think a lot of us maybe think that subconsciously, but it's not true. It's not, because failure is just the next stepping stone to success, and it doesn't mean you're inadequate. So you want to come up with a healthier definition of failure. It's just maybe a healthier definition might be that it's just an undesired result. You didn't get what you wanted, right? So you took a guess and you were wrong, and you can learn from that result and you can do better the next time. So that's not so bad, right? You just didn't get what you wanted this way. So what other way can I do it to get what I want? Right? So visualize success. Rather than imagining yourself failing or being so afraid of failing, imagine yourself being successful. Take 5 minutes every day and imagine yourself succeeding. Notice how good that feels and focus on that feeling. Give your brain more images of success than failure. I mean, I really believe in that. I believe that what you focus on is what you get. And so if you are feeding your brain with success and feeding your brain with images of success, That's what's going to help you grow to be more successful. Your brain will do what you tell it to do, but you have to kind of feed it, right? Just like we feed our body, we feed our brain. Consider the worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? Really get down there. Really go, what is the worst thing that can happen? And then think about it. Can you handle that? Could you handle that if that were to happen? Of course you can. So develop a strategy for dealing with the worst possible outcomes. You know, I've actually saw this, I think it was on a show. Actually, I think it was This Is Us, but I'm not sure, where they're like, okay, yeah, I'm sure it was This Is Us, where they're like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? What would be the absolute worst that could happen? And they talk about scenarios, and then as you're talking that through, you start to realize, well, hell, I could handle that, or what I'm going to deal with isn't near that bad, so I can handle that. Because once you've developed ways to be able to deal with that worst possible outcome, and you're comfortable that you can handle the worst, then there's nothing left to worry about, because everything else is not as bad, right? And so you can do this. Recall your past failures. Think about your past failures. Think about we've all failed millions of times in our lives, all of us. And so you've overcome those failures before. How many times did you fail when you were learning to walk or talk? And yet here you are, you're walking, you survived, right? We fail in small ways every single day. And yet the sun still rises, the sun still goes down, the world goes on, nothing changes. We just failed. We learned something and we moved on to the next thing, right? Be comfortable with discomfort. This is really the big one, because you got to get outside your comfort zone. We all have that zone. We all have that zone that we're comfortable in, and you got to stretch it. You got to stretch it bigger and bigger and get out of that comfort zone, because that's what's going to do it. That's what's going to help you. And the thought of failure can be really uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean you have to allow it to influence your actions, right? The uncomfortable sense, the sensations of that, the negative emotions are just really suggestions. And so you get to choose how you're going to respond. We all get to choose. That's what's so great about being human, is that we get to choose how we're going to respond, and we get to choose what we're going to respond to. Next one, start small. If you're too uncomfortable to move forward with your plans, then just take a step, just a small step. Take a small action and then look around and say, oh, I'm still okay. So then tomorrow you can take a little bit bigger step, and you look around and go, oh yeah, I survived that one too. And in no time at all, you're going to be taking action. You know, if you keep doing this, then you'll be taking massive action towards your goals. And that's what you want. That's what you want, because we want you to be the most successful you can be, whatever it is that you're working towards. Whether you're on my team and you're looking to grow your business, or whether you are trying to better yourself in a hobby that you do, or in your job. Seriously, we all want to do that. We all want to be taking that massive action towards our goals, because our goals is what's going to make us live our best life. So then consider what will happen if you allow your fear to stop you. That's horrible. I mean, imagine yourself 20 years from now not having taken that risk. How will you feel about it? You hear about this all the time, that when people are on their deathbed, they regret more the things that they didn't do than the things that they did, right? I mean, you've heard that over and over and over again. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. What if I would have? What if I did? Oh, then you're beating yourself over it. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be living in regret. So just think about now, if I don't let myself overcome this, if I don't find a way to do it, what am I going to be like in 20 years? Am I going to regret not doing this? Because that's huge, right? Think back to your high school days. I mean, remember that boy or your girl that you were afraid to speak to? How do you feel about that now? I mean, it's funny now, looking back to your high school days, you're like, yeah, I thought he was the hottest thing, but now he's just a person just like you, right? So you know that if you had the opportunity to do it again, now you know in retrospect what that person turned out to be. So you might muster up the courage to talk to them. You might now think that it wasn't worth it, but it just is. We regret, like I said, we regret the things that we don't do more than we regret the things we do. That's what everybody says when they're at the end of their life. That's what we hear over and over and over again. So how much has the fear of failure impacted your life? You know, it's okay to be afraid, but it's just a little silly if we just have a good understanding of failure. Because if we have a good understanding of it's just a stepping stone to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. Oh, that didn't work. We'll try this. And that's all it is. So in some ways, it's kind of silly to be afraid of failure, right? What's not okay is to allow your fear of failure to keep you out of the game. That's not okay. Your life is passing you by. Don't let this be you. Please don't let this be you. Refuse to allow fear to get in your way because you only have one life to live, and I want you to live your best life. So please don't let that fear of failure hold you back. Even if it's little steps, you can do it. Seriously, you got this. You can do it, and don't ever doubt that. So anyway, that's what I have. Now I want to hear from you. What are you afraid of? What ways have you found to overcome the fears that you have come across, the ones that you have dealt with? I'm sure all of us, we all have different ways of dealing with things, and I would love to hear yours because, it will help everybody. So please share in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Anyway, thanks for being with me today. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.